All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at Instagram marketing, specifically those faceless growth strategies everyone's talking about.
Faceless growth. Sounds intriguing.
You bet. We've got a review here of the Ultimate Faceless Growth Bundle, and it looks like the reviewer started out pretty skeptical.
Oh, I can relate to that. I've seen so many of those bundles.
Right. But this one, it seems like something really clicked. They went from hesitant to totally on board.
I'm all ears. What changed their mind?
Well, they talked about struggling initially. Just posting randomly, engagement was low.
The classic Instagram struggle.
Exactly. They felt lost in the whole Instagram maze. But then they cracked open the first guide in the bundle, Unlocking Your Instagram Potential, and things started to change.
Unlocking your Instagram potential. Okay, that's a promising title. What did it focus on?
It seems like it really hammered home the importance of having a strong foundation. Like a really solid bio, using the right hashtags.
Yeah, those are absolute essentials. I see so many people neglecting those basics.
It's easy to get caught up in the fancy stuff,
Yeah.
but those fundamentals are key.
Totally agree. A killer bio can make a huge difference.
The guide also talked about decoding the Instagram algorithm, which I think was a big aha moment for the reviewer.
Ah, the algorithm, the mysterious beast we're all trying to tame.
Right. But this guide, it seems like it helped them understand how to actually work with the algorithm instead of feeling like they're constantly fighting against it.
That's so important. It's like having a secret weapon, knowing how the algorithm thinks.
Totally. And one of the things the reviewer really highlighted was this tip about posting at optimal times.
Oh yeah, timing is everything.
Before, they were just posting whenever they felt like it, but this guide encouraged them to really think about their audience.
Like, when are those people actually online and scrolling through Instagram?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by scheduling posts for those peak engagement times, they saw a huge jump in visibility.
Makes total sense. You're not just posting for yourself, you're posting for your audience.
So, okay, you've got the visibility, you're reaching more people, but then how do you turn those likes into actual sales?
The million-dollar question.
That's where the Scaling Your Instagram Sales Guide comes in. The reviewer was initially struggling with calls to action, making those posts actually persuasive.
Oh yeah, crafting a compelling call to action, that's an art form in itself.
They felt like their posts were falling flat, not really converting followers into customers.
A lot of people hit that wall. It's like, okay, they like my stuff, but how do I get them to actually buy something?
In this guide, it sounds like it broke down the whole psychology of effective CTAs, making them clear, giving people a reason to take action.
Creating that sense of urgency, like, don't miss out.
Exactly. It's not just about saying buy now. It's about crafting a message that truly resonates.
You need to give people a reason to click that button. What's in it for them?
One thing that stood out was how the guide really emphasized using Instagram's shopping features.
Those are game changers, making it so easy for people to buy directly through the app.
The reviewer was blown away by how much easier it was to make sales once they started using features like product tagging in Instagram shops.
It just streamlines the whole process, People see something they like, they tap, they buy, done.
So simple, but so effective. Okay, let's move on to stories. It sounds like the reviewer's stories went from to totally engaging, thanks to the Instagram stories that sell resource.
Stories are where it's at. So much potential for connection and engagement.
Before, they were just posting basic photos and videos, not really taking advantage of all the interactive features.
Yeah, you gotta use those stickers, those polls, those question boxes.
This guide really encouraged them to get creative, to think about how they could use those features to spark conversations and make their audience feel more involved.
Stories are all about building relationships, fostering that sense of community.
The reviewers started sharing behind-the-scenes glimpses, doing little Q&As, offering exclusive peeks.
People love that insider access. Makes them feel like they're part of something special.
It led to a surge in engagement. People were actually sending direct messages about their products.
It's about building trust, showing the human side of your brand. People buy from people they like and connect with.
All right, so we've talked about optimizing your profile, crafting compelling CTAs, mastering stories. But then there's the whole consistency thing.
Ah, yes. The bane of every Instagrammer's existence.
Staying consistent, posting regularly, that could be a real struggle.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
But the reviewer found a lifesaver. in the 90 Days of Social Media Content resource.
90 days of content. Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's basically a pre-planned content calendar, taking all the guesswork out of what to post and when.
That's genius. It's like having a content coach in your pocket.
They were blown away by how much easier it was to stay consistent once they had this plan in place. No more last-minute scrambling or feeling overwhelmed.
That feeling of waking up and knowing exactly what you're going to post that day, priceless.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about optimizing your profile, crafting compelling CTAs, mastering stories, staying consistent. But what about video content?
Oh, video. That's a whole other beast.
Reels are king these days, but the reviewers' initial attempts were, well, let's just say they weren't exactly going viral.
Yeah, reels can be tricky. It's not just about pointing your phone and filming.
They were missing that spark, that something special that makes people stop scrolling. But then they discovered the 100 Luxury Reels resource.
Luxury reels. Now that sounds interesting. What's the secret sauce?
This resource really dove deep into the technical side of creating high-quality reels, using trending music, creative editing.
Yeah, those little details can make a huge difference. It's about catching people's attention in those first few seconds.
And the guide also emphasized the importance of strategy. It's not just about making pretty videos. It's about making videos that actually support your overall goals.
You got to be intentional. Know what you're trying to achieve with each reel.
They even recommended focusing on reels, specifically because they're currently favored by the algorithm.
The algorithm loves a good reel. It's all about jumping on those trends and using the features that Instagram is pushing.
After implementing some of the tips from the guide, the reviewer had a reel go viral, which led to a flood of new followers and a much more engaged community.
That's the power of a well-crafted reel. It can really put you on the map.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of different strategies, but now let's get to the heart of this bundle, the faceless branding approach.
Okay, faceless branding. I've heard whispers about this. Fill me in.
The reviewer was really drawn to the idea, but it sounds like they struggled to make it work initially.
I can see how that would be tricky. How do you build a brand without putting yourself out there?
That's where the Faceless Wealth ebook comes in. It really helped them understand the whole philosophy behind faceless branding.
Interesting. So what's the main idea? What's the appeal of going faceless?
It's about shifting the focus from the individual to the product or service. You're creating a strong brand identity that resonates with your audience, regardless of who's running the show.
So it's like the brand becomes the star, not the person behind it.
Exactly. This ebook really helped the reviewer define their brand values, their target audience, their unique selling proposition.
Basically, all the building blocks of a solid brand identity.
They really honed in on their messaging and their overall aesthetic after reading this ebook, and it seems to have paid off.
It's like building a cohesive universe, you know?
Yeah.
Everything fits together. Everything tells the same story.
Speaking of stories, let's talk about the 250 Hooks guide. The reviewer was having major caption writer's block before discovering this resource.
Oh, caption writing, that can be a struggle. Staring at that blank screen, trying to come up with something witty and engaging.
They felt like their captions were falling flat, not really grabbing people's attention. But this guide, it's like it unlocked a whole new level of creativity for them.
So what's the secret? What are these magic hooks?
They're basically a bunch of different frameworks for crafting compelling opening lines. Things that make people want to keep reading.
Like a little hook that snags their attention and reels them in.
Exactly. And they're designed to work for any type of content, any brand, any niche. The reviewer mentioned specifically using thought-provoking questions to boost engagement, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, even without a face, you can still start a conversation, get people thinking.
It's all about understanding your audience and what resonates with them. What questions are they asking? What problems are they facing?
And then, boom, you hit them with that perfect question that makes them stop scrolling and think, hey, I want to know more about this.
So, we've covered optimizing the profile, crafting compelling CTAs, mastering stories, staying consistent, creating engaging reels, establishing a strong brand identity with a faceless approach. What about those faceless reels?
Faceless reels. That sounds interesting. I'm picturing like abstract art or something.
It's not quite that abstract, but it's definitely a unique approach. It's about applying those faceless branding principles to your video content.
So how do you make a reel that's both engaging and faceless? What are the key elements?
This resource really emphasized the importance of visuals. Creating reels that are visually striking, using those eye-catching transitions, leveraging trending audio.
It's all about creating a mood and aesthetic that aligns with your brand.
The reviewer found success with reels that were very visually driven, using close-ups, textures, interesting compositions.
So even without showing a face, you can still create a reel that's visually captivating and tells a story.
And the guide also stressed the importance of aligning those visuals with your brand messaging. It's not just about making pretty videos, it's about making videos that reinforce your brand identity.
It's like every element of your content, from your bio to your reels, should be working together to tell the same story.
Exactly. And that's what this bundle seems to be all about. It's about giving you the tools and strategies to create a cohesive brand experience that truly resonates with your audience, even if you choose to stay behind the scenes.
Fascinating. It sounds like a game changer for anyone who's been hesitant to put themselves out there or who wants to build a brand that's bigger than just one person.
It really opens up a lot of possibilities.
Hmm.
So as we move on to part 2, I'm curious to explore this faceless approach a little deeper.
I'm ready. Let's dive in. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how this whole faceless branding thing is shaking things up.
Right. It used to be all about, like, the influencer, the personality.
You had to be the face of the brand.
But now it's like you can build a thriving business without ever showing your face.
And this bundle really gives you the tools to do that.
It's pretty empowering, I think. Opens up possibilities for people who maybe aren't comfortable being in the spotlight.
For sure. And it can feel more authentic to consumers too. It's not about buying into a personality. It's about connecting with the brand.
You're not selling yourself. You're selling a product, a service, an idea.
And that can be really appealing in a world where everything feels so influencer driven.
Totally. So why do you think this whole faceless trend is gaining so much traction?
Well, for creators, I think it offers a lot of freedom and flexibility.
You're not tied to your personal image.
You can step back from the camera if you want, collaborate with others.
You can even sell the brand without having to sell yourself.
And for consumers, I think it can feel more genuine, like I said.
It's not about a personality. It's about values, shared interests.
It's about the product, the experience.
It makes you think differently about building a brand, right?
It's not about you anymore.
It's about what you create.
It's about the value you bring.
So with this bundle, it's like you're given the keys to create your own brand universe.
You set the rules, the aesthetic, the vibe.
It's not overwhelming. It's actually really empowering.
And it breaks down the process into manageable steps.
You've got this roadmap, these proven strategies.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You just tailor it to your own brand and goals.
It's like what the reviewer experienced, going from feeling lost to having that clear path forward.
Right. So if someone is listening to this right now thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but where do I even begin? What's that first step?
Well, I'd say the first step is understanding your audience.
Who are you trying to reach?
What are their interests, their needs, their pain points?
It's like building a house. You need that blueprint.
Your audience is your blueprint.
Once you understand them, then you can start exploring the strategies in this bundle.
Experiment with different types of content, different hooks, different captions.
See what resonates.
Find what works for you.
Embrace your individuality.
Don't be afraid to break the mold.
It's all about being creative, being innovative.
And most importantly, having fun.
Right. Building a brand should be enjoyable.
If you're passionate about it, it'll show.
People can sense that enthusiasm.
So if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed,
remember, you have the power to create something amazing.
you've got the tools, the guidance.
And the most important ingredient is you.
Your vision, your creativity.
Your passion.
That's what will make your brand stand out.
Beautifully said. So let's get into some more specific tactics.
All right, let's dive deeper.
How can someone actually make this faceless approach work for them on Instagram?
Well, one of the biggest things is visual consistency. Thinking about your Instagram feed like a curated gallery, even without a person as the focus, you can still create a really strong visual identity.
So you're saying even if you're not featuring yourself, you can still cultivate that recognizable style.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. What are the key elements to focus on?
Think about your color palettes, your fonts, your photography styles, the types of subjects you showcase. It's kind of like having a signature style. But instead of being tied to a person's face or a logo, it's like a visual language. We talked about how that reviewer had success with visually striking reels that aligned with their brand messaging.
Yeah, they really did. Their reels just popped. And you could tell they were all part of the same brand.
Exactly. That consistency is key. People start associating those visuals with your brand even without seeing a specific person. Think about brands like Glossier, right? Their feed is all about those minimalist pastel aesthetics.
Oh yeah, Glossier totally nails that.
Or Nike with their powerful imagery and motivational quotes. You see one of their posts and you instantly know it's them.
You really do.
But that's the power of consistent visuals. It goes beyond just pretty pictures. It's about creating a mood, an aesthetic, a feeling that people connect with.
Now, what about captions? I feel like those are so tied to a personal voice. How do you make them work in a faceless context?
Well, captions are your chance to let your brand's personality shine through, right? You can be witty, you can be informative, inspiring, a bit mysterious. It all depends on your brand's voice. And remember that 250 hooks guide we talked about?
Oh yeah, those hooks.
That's a gold mine for crafting captions that actually grab attention.
And I remember that reviewer had a lot of success using thought-provoking questions.
Makes sense, right? Even without a face, you can still start a conversation. You can still get people thinking.
Engage those brains.
Exactly. And don't forget, you can still showcase your expertise even without showing your face.
How do you mean?
Think about it. You can do flat lays, product shots, detail shots, videos focusing on hands, creating something. There are so many creative ways to tell your brand story visually.
It's about getting playful with it, finding those unique visual elements that really represent your brand.
Exactly. And you know what else is great? Bringing in the voices of your customers.
Ooh, good point. User-generated content.
It's gold. Encourage your customers to share their experiences, repost those photos and videos. It's amazing for building community and social proof. And you don't have to be the sole source of content.
It's like building this chorus of voices that all contribute to your brand story,
And that builds authenticity and trust.
which is so important these days.
Huge. So yeah, there's just so much potential with this faceless branding thing.
I'm really seeing that now. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive into this whole world of faceless Instagram growth.
Definitely uncovered some gems today.
So many great strategies and ideas, and I think the biggest takeaway is that you have the power to create a captivating brand presence, whether you choose to show your face or not.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with this. What kind of brand presence resonates most with you? How could you leverage these tools to tell your unique story?
The possibilities are endless. And remember, the most important thing is to stay true to yourself. Let that passion shine through. And don't be afraid to have some fun along the way.
Well said. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a topic you choose. Until then, keep learning, keep creating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible on Instagram.